And so we are currently in the middle of July, and with that we have a new set of Inheritance Trials quests to go against. This time, different set of enemies, and of course, different set of characters to actually bring to get the most value out of this particular quest. As always, we're going to be giving my recommendation of characters you should bring to one, have an easier time going through this quest, and also amass a large amount of super link-up potions. With that said, this quest is available from the 9th of July, so we are a few days late to this, but it will be lasting until the 6th of August. As always, when it comes to this particular quest, the enemies themselves do have Iron Skin, and that essentially means they take around 80% less damage unless you inflict them with a status summon. So the idea here is to bring characters that can either 1, ignore Iron Skin with a skill, or 2, have an increased chance to inflict status summons. And the important rules this time around does see us go against hollow enemies, so those that have Hollow Killer are more ideal here since they are getting a 60% damage increase. The enemies themselves do have Killer, and they do more damage to Aranka, so do be careful if you bring an Aranka character. The enemies themselves are immune to paralysis, and there are also poison pores on the floor. So being immune to poison is actually a good thing to have here. For those that want to get the extra bit of value in this particular quest, by bringing any of these characters, you are getting 5 additional super link-up potions. That is the main item that you are farming, so ideally when you are playing in co-op, for example, majority of the characters in your room should consist of these particular characters. Usually for me, I like to use one of these characters if they're good enough, or I decide to bring a better OP character that can carry us throughout the quest. But who exactly are those characters? Well, let's talk about it. First up, let's look at the Technique attribute. Of course, one of your better characters to bring here is going to be the new and renewed version of Quincy Ichigo. In this case, his damage output is massive. Frenzy +2, with also the spiritual pressure boost. With that, in combination with the fact that he does have weakening and also drain on every single attack and an increased chance to inflict status ailments, not only is he doing a lot of damage when not inflicting status ailments, but when he does, and he is going to be doing that quite consistently, he is just going to be essentially one-shotting any enemy he goes against, even special move level 1 out of 5. And since his status ailments do consist of weakening and also drain, survivability is not going to be an issue here. If you are looking to have a very easy time, Renewed Ichigo is going to be the best character used for this particular quest. Another great character to use is of course going to be the Spirit of and With You Beyond Bankai version of Retsu. In her case, very similar to Quincy Ichigo, good survivability and a good damage output. In Retsu's case, she does have Frenzy +2 with a Berserker value and also more damage at full stamina. She has a great set of strong attacks, and that does include her SA3. Her SA3 is a charged strong attack move, which itself can do a lot of damage, but it also can heal your team by 40%. That allows you to be a good team player, healing your team, keeping them alive. The charged strong attack itself can almost one-shot bosses, and because she has weakening and drain on every single attack, she has an easy time staying alive. If you are someone that is lacking Renewed Quincy Ichigo, this character is a great pickup to use for this particular month. Another somewhat good option, really depends on the type of player you are, is Roka. She's more of a team support player. She isn't as fast as Retsu, nor is she as fast as Ichigo, but she can get the job done. With a complete status immunity, team heals, good crowd control, and a good damage output when you do inflict a status ailment, she's an overall solid character to use here. Not the most amazing character to use because she is somewhat slower compared to the other characters we just mentioned, but still good enough to be used. If you are lacking those, as always, a great character to bring here is going to be the Spirits of and With You Beyond Bankai version of Toshiro. He doesn't have Killer here, but he does have a ridiculously high damage output. He can inflict status ailments, and if you have this character duped out, he is perfectly usable in this particular quest, even when he doesn't have Killer. And that's ideally what you want to do. If you don't have a character with Killer, you want to bring someone with a really high damage output that can brute force their way through this quest, and Toshiro is basically that character. Moving into the Heart attribute though, we finally have a character that is better than the 1000-year Blood War Ichigo when going against Inheritance Trials, and that character of course is the new swimsuit version of Rangiku. She's a very similar character to Ichigo. She herself has a high damage output, does more damage to enemies not afflicted by an ailment, and she herself can go through Iron Skin. This time around though, because she is a Hollow Killer, she has Killer against the enemies, making it even easier for her to go through this particular quest. That in combination with the fact that she does increase the amount of links-up potions and also super links-up potions you can get, she right now is the best character to use for the whole month in this particular quest. If you have her, definitely use her. There's no other better character. But there are still some really good characters, and another great one, as always, is the 1000-year Blood War Round 16 version of Ichigo. In his case, once more, can go through Iron Skin, has a really high damage output with Frenzy +2 and also Ignore Iron Skin. Even though he doesn't have Killer here, it really doesn't matter. He has the long stride, he's immune to every status ailment, he's still an amazing character to use here, he just doesn't increase the drop rates like Rangiku does. But if you don't care about the 5 extra pots and you still love playing with this character and want to go through the quest super easy, he's still an amazing character to use. The Burn the Witch version of Bruno, of course, is also an amazing character for this particular quest, this time for different reasons. He has Hollow Killer, but he just also has a really high damage output with Frenzy +2, and also Gauge Effect, which is going to very easily be able to stack multiple times in this particular quest. When you do complete the Gauge, it not only heals him, reduces the cooldown of his strong attacks, gives him a 50% SP boost, but it also increases his Berserker value by an additional 100%. If there's gauges off and a boss is on your screen, you're essentially killing them in one shot. If you don't have Rangiku or Ichigo, he's still a great character to use here. And I'm actually going to be taking him myself. Even though I have Rangiku, I do like this character, and I do want to play with him in this particular quest. And those are essentially your 3 best characters for the Heart attribute. Unfortunately, Heart doesn't have access to that many good Hollow Killers, so your other best options are those that have an increased chance to inflict status ailments, someone like Yoruichi, for example. She's not going to be the most ideal character here, but she does have the increased chance to inflict status ailments. She can inflict status ailments. And since it is weakening, she's always a good character to use if you have no other better option. When it comes to the power attribute though, they do have some good options here. Of course, the best one being the 1000-Year Blood War version of Yamamoto. In his case, he has Killer, he can inflict status ailments, both weakening and also burn, great strong attack here, and if you have this character duped out, he's going to go for his quest super easy. He's a simple character in nature, just really good damage, really good strong attack here. There isn't really much else to say about this character. If you have him, he's your best character to use for this particular month. Our next recommendation is the character that you might have not used in quite some time, but you might have him max transcended. If you have no other better option, 5th Anniversary Ichigo is of course still definitely worth using. His damage output doesn't hold up compared to the newest set of characters, but still regardless, a 60% Berserker with weakening on every attack and the strong attacks that he does have is still good enough and easily capable of clearing through IT super easily. Again, he's been out for a couple years now, many people have him max transcended, he's still worth bringing out if you have no other better option. When it comes to the Hollow Killers, that's all we really have access to that are even worth talking about in my opinion, so your other better options if you don't have them is of course someone like Nelliel, for example. In her case, she doesn't have Hollow Killer. She is taking more damage, keep that in mind, but she does have an increased chance to inflict status ailments with Frenzy +2. She's not too bad to use, especially considering the fact that she is increased the amount of super links or potions you can get. She also doubles down as a farmer, so good enough to use, right? Same can be said for Yumachika. He does increase the amount of links or potions and also super links or potions you can get, while also going through Iron Skin. Having said that, his range and damage output isn't as good as someone like Rangiku's, so when he doesn't have Killer, he's still going to be somewhat slow, but he's still a good enough character to use regardless. When it comes to the speed attribute, they have access to a lot of great characters, a first one of course being Tensa. Tensa's going to be the best character to use Inheritance Styles any given month, in this case very similar once more to Rangiku and also 1000-Year Blood War Ichigo, in the sense that he has a great strong attack hit, good damage output with his high Berserker value, Frenzy +1, more damage in co-op quests, but most importantly, he does more damage to enemies not afflicted by an ailment and also goes through Iron Skin. The same reason why you use Rangiku, Ichigo is the same reason why you are using Tensa. But Tensa of course does come with the bonus of increasing the amount of super links or potions and also links or potions you can get. Despite not having Killer here, Tensa is still the best character to use. Another great character of course is going to be the renewed version of Aaroniero. Great strong attack kit, especially with that SA2. That is going to help him inflict status ailments, which he can inflict burn and also weakening. He does have Killer here, and when you do inflict a status ailment, you do get to 80% stat boost to your spiritual pressure stat. He's a very similar character to Yamamoto. Essentially, he's a speed version of Yama. He's going to go through this quest with a good strong attack hit, good crowd control, good damage output, and some good survivability. While it is true he isn't a ranker and therefore he's taking more damage, realistically with this character, you really shouldn't be getting hit that often. Of course, the Christmas version of the world is also going to be a great character for this particular quest. In her case, she is a character that can increase the amount of links or potions and also super links or potions you can get, but she also does have an increased chance to inflict status ailments, which in her case she can apply weakening. She doesn't have the greatest strong attack hit, but given the fact that she can increase the drop rates, she does have Killer here, and she can increase the chance to inflict status ailments, she's overall still a great character to use here. Probably one of the better ones, to be fair. This one we have to do a tad bit more testing on, but hypothetically he should be a good character here, and that is actually the 1000-Year Blood War version of Yamamoto, the one that came out almost 4 years ago. He is scheduled to receive his resurrection tomorrow, where he will pick up more damage to burn in enemies, but also an increased chance to inflict status ailments. Compared to the other characters, he does have less range and less damage, but considering the fact that he is going to constantly inflict status ailments, you might have him duped out, he might unironically be a pretty good character to use in this particular quest. And I guess our last recommendation for the speed attribute, they do have access to a lot of great characters here, is actually the Spirit Society version of Ichigo. In this case, he's only here because he does have Frenzy +2, and he does have an increased chance to inflict status ailments. Considering the fact that he does have a holo killer here, overall, this is pretty much the only time he's really worth using, but he's going to be really good in this particular quest. When it comes to the mind attribute, one of your better characters to use here is going to be the swimsuit version of Nelio. You might have recently just pulled her. In her case, she does increase the amount of links or potions and also super links or potions you can get, has a good damage output, can apply status elements, and does have holo killer. However, keep in mind she herself is an Aaroniero, so she is taking a tad bit more damage if you do get hit, and considering that she doesn't have the best set of range on her strong attacks, you might see yourself often getting hit. Keep that in mind. But realistically, that's like your only good character to use here. When it comes to mind holo killers, they're almost non-existent. That makes me wonder, is the 8th anniversary character going to be a mind holo killer? Because quite frankly, we do need more support here. If you don't have Nelio, a great character, and maybe even better character to a certain extent, even though he doesn't have killer, is of course Balgo. He's increased the amount of links or potions and also super links or potions you can get by an additional 5, but he himself can apply weakening, he can apply drain, and he does have an increased chance to do so against any heart enemy. While he doesn't have killer here, he's still going to be my go-to, and probably a lot of other people's too. Don't have any of those two characters, then maybe Lisa is going to be your next best option. In her case, she has a good damage output, does not have killer, but very similar to the Beyond Bankai version of Yoruichi, she does have an increased chance to inflict status elements, so she will go through this quest relatively easy, just a bit slower compared to those that do have killer. Keep in mind she cannot apply paralysis, but she can apply lacerate. And I guess similar to Lisa, you can also potentially use Aaroniero, although once more keep in mind he himself is taking more damage here, so not really ideal, but he himself does have an increased chance to inflict weakening, and he also can increase the amount of links or potions and also super links or potions you can get by an additional 5. And that's basically the breakdown for this month's Inheritance Trials. There's definitely a lot of great characters to use here, but you can definitely see a big imbalance when it comes to certain attributes. Attributes like technique and speed have access to a lot of great characters to use here, while attributes like power and also mind don't really have the greatest set of options. Power is lucky to have someone like Yamamoto, and he will do most of the carrying to be fair, but other than that, there's no really new good option to use here. And then when it comes to the mind attribute, again, they only have access to Nelio essentially, and she's taken significantly more damage. But on your screen right now is the 5 characters that I will be using for this particular month. Let me know who you will be using in the comments below. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys next time. Take care, and peace.